may the learning that we do on this week's Torah portion of Bereishit be in the merit of the speedy return of the hostages who have been taken by the barbaric terrorist group Hamas and any other names and proxies that are operating with their heinous objectives and methods of destruction, and all of those captives, please God, should be rescued and restored in full health, and anybody injured for their speedy recovery, and anybody killed, that this should be le'iloi nishmatam, as a aliyah, as a elevation for their souls, and special prayer for all of the soldiers and the civilians who are on the front line waiting to go in to achieve the peace and the secure border that in the land of Israel we so pray for. And most important, may Hashem be on our side and achieve the miracles that have always been the mainstay of our people and our survival. And with all this in mind, looking at two ideas in the Seder of Bereishit that can be both a chizuk, a form of encouragement for us, and also a description of what is happening in front of our eyes as this crisis unfolds. The first is the very first comment, the first Rashi of the first pasuk, that the Torah starts with the words Bereishit bara Elokim, and Rashi quotes Rabbi Yitzchak, and he says that the Torah didn't necessarily have to start in this way. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak lo haya tzorich lahatchil es haTorah ela mehachodesh hazeh lachem. The Torah could have started with the first mitzvah that was given to the Jewish people of the sanctification of the months. That was the first mitzvah that was given. Uma tam bepesach bereishis. What is the reason that Hashem began the Torah with Bereishit? Mishum, because koach masov higid la'amo, the power of his acts he told to his people, laseis lahem nachalas goyim, in order to give them the estate of nations. And this first aspect, koach masov higid la'amo, that we, the Jewish people, have to know that Hashem has given this land, encoded in the beginning of creation. It's not some random place on the globe. This is, before we even venture into the 7 days of creation, the Torah is telling us that Hashem has given us this land. And before we argue and recriminate, we need to know that is something that from the beginning of time, pre-creation, this is something that is God's plan. And then Rashi continues, She'im yomru umas ha'olam liYisrael, so that if the nations of the world will say to Israel, Listim atem, you are bandits, shekavashtem artzos shiva goyim, that you have conquered the lands of the second nations, the seven Canaanite nations. Heim omrim lahem, Israel will say to them, Kol ha'aretz shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu He, the whole earth belongs to the Holy One, blessed is He. Hu v'ra, He created it, unasana, and He gave it, la'asher yashar ve'einav, to the one found proper in his eyes. B'ritzono nosno lahem, by his wish he gave it to them, or v'ritzono noslo mehem, and by his wish he took it from them, or nosona lanu, and gave it to us. And with this trust and belief in Hashem, with this confidence that the land of Israel, as we are on the one hand being constantly accused by so many people all over the world of taking land that does not belong to us, the source of our strength begins with our conviction that is not true, and this land, this tiny piece of land, surrounded by hostile nations, has from Bereishit bara Elokim been set aside for Yisrael, so that we can fulfill the words of the Torah and shine a light out onto the nations and to the world from this holy and miraculous land. That is the first and so opportune and appropriate thought from this week's Sedra at this time. The second, also reflecting on the creation of the world and imagining this huge globe, tiny as a speck of the universe, but still so carefully planned and thought out by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and so full of wonder and miracle. Every corner that we turn, the more we can appreciate Marabu Ma'asecha Hashem, how many are your handiworks, Hashem, as we go through the Sedra and look at the 7 days of creation. But if we can just imagine that this wondrous globe stands on 3 legs, and this comes from a Mishnah in Pirkei Avos, Perek Aleph, Mishnah base, and the Mishnah I shall read. Shimon HaTzadik haya mishiarei Knesset HaGdola. Shimon HaTzadik was of the men of the great assembly. Hu haya omer, he used to say, Al shlosha devarim ha'olam omed. On three things the world stands. Al haTorah, va'al havoda, va'al gemilas chasodim. On the Torah, on the service, and on acts of kindness. And so this tripod, this 3-legged support for the world, without which the world would not stand. We can imagine the world being elevated by these 3 things. The first is the Torah, which is the source of the communication, the divine document that Hashem shares with us for our behavior, for our thought process, for our understanding of ourselves and the people around us. And it is our study of this Torah and putting into effect its precepts and being guided by the wisdom that's contained within it. That is one of the essential 3 legs upon which the world stands. The second is the avodah. And during the time of the Bet HaMikdash, of the temple, the holy temple, this was the korbanot, the sacrificial service that was performed by the Kohanim, by the priests and the Levites. And this was the way to draw near, korban, karov. This is the root of the word korban. And that has been replaced since the destruction of the Bet HaMikdash. May it be rebuilt speedily and within our times. And that has been replaced by prayer, which is called avodah shebalev. And as has been said so many times, the events of the past few days, which feel like centuries, have elicited a response, an outpouring of prayer, if we understand that the situation is so intractable, is so tragic and complicated, and the efforts that are required to please God help us come out of this undamaged and able to continue to live and flourish in this land. We need all of the prayer that we can muster, that we can marshal, and from the depths of our heart to cry out to Hashem to help us in this time of travail, as we are davening for everybody closely involved, and everybody further away who is feeling very, on the one hand close, yet on the other hand so far. And so really this need for prayer is so pertinent, so appropriate at this point. And then the third leg upon which the entire world stands, the Gemilos Chasodim, the outpouring of kindness and solidarity that we are witnessing in the land of Israel, and we are witnessing over the world as people come forward with their messages of solidarity, with their charitable donations. And really, this is a part of our DNA, part of our way of life. But again, so necessary, so appropriate at this particular time. And I just would like to close by thanking everybody for listening, thanking everybody for focusing on the two ideas of the centrality from the point of creation of the land of Israel and its connection to the Jewish people, and the three pillars upon this world stands. And please God, in the merit of our learning, may we see miracles without cease and salvation for everybody. I'm Yisrael Chai. Thank you very much for listening.